Greetings. I'm getting an echo here. What's going on with this? All right, hello.
Yeah, you look good.
I get an echo. Are you hearing me? All right, now I'm all
I'm
right.
all right.
Now when you,
Now,
yeah, correct. I'm all right when you go mute. We're good? All right. Greetings and welcome to our weekly podcast. I am G. Michael Reed. I am the chairman designated by the powers that be, those in control, those pushing the buttons. We do this every week and we ask you to subscribe, to like, to just tell people about us. If you have not listened to us, we beg you to share sometime every Thursday evening at 7 Belize time, where we have no scapegoats, no sacred cows, no fear, no favor, no agenda, political, religious, personal, or otherwise. No axe to grind, no beef to foster or pursue. We deal with the trending issues in a fair way. We're not subjective, we're objective. We're progressive and we try to put everything on the positive side. We have no red, blue, green, nor in between allegiance. We are Belizeans and we urge you to awaken. Come up. This is Belizean Awakening. Um, Thank you. We are normally joined by a few other co-hosts, namely Private Citizen Jeremy Spooner. He usually checks in on time. Joe Cowie, of course, a wealth of experience and advice for everybody out there, particularly in the political realm. And we have Gregory Morrison, a layman's view from Los Angeles. He's an engineer and in the workforce. We have a guest this evening. We're expecting Mr. Lennox Lamb. Lamb is a student abroad. I believe he might be out of school. We'll have to pick his brains and see what the situation is at this time. But uh, he usually brings to the table some good ideas, some good questions, some good topics to discuss. We're looking forward to this experience again this evening. I wanted to touch on something before the guys even enter the room because I understand the lines to Melchior are long. Some people are saying they have not been able to find specific uniform for their children. And folks, this seems to me to be a no-brainer. We had a sewing factory one time in Belize, Williamson, and was hired a lot of people, was turning out some good products, mainly the Dickey brand.
Turn off the
Why
computer video.
why can't we have our uniforms sewn in Belize? We have students, we have all the police, BDF, Coast Guard, every government department, and many private firms using uniform. It makes perfect sense. Anyway, let's go on. Gregory is in the house. Evening, Gregory. Early this evening, that traffic must be light out there, man. We're going on.
I left a little early to get here today. I
Super,
didn't have
super.
much going on in the afternoon, so I was able to
Cool.
wrap things up
One
early.
one of those slow days. That's they're good to come by every now and again, especially in your
There's
field where you're always um,
always
stuck with
something
work,
going
huh?
on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you just heard that Lennox Lamb was going to be on, and Lamb is always an interesting guest. So make a picky
I
brain and see
know,
what
I
they're
know.
going. Right. Expecting Joe soon, and of course the private citizen. If he makes it in, he might be out there still on his boat sailing around the harbor. Let's see what
Oh,
happens.
okay.
Some things are interesting, heating up on the international scene. Trump is back to bombing Iran. Um, it looks like a couple of other countries are joining in. Understand Saudi Arabia, and now they are attacking Iraq. I don't know. This is just going crazy and out of control. Let's welcome to the
Well,
fourth.
yeah.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
let's welcome first the sage, Mr. Joe
Yeah.
Cowie. Evening, sir.
Good evening, gentlemen.
All right. I see Lennox already in the house, but he can't mute from which I must say, get himself together, no? Yeah, I think makeup people came in late, so you have to take your time and get ready. Right?
I,
Yeah.
Mr.
Uh,
Chairman, I heard you speaking just now about the issue, the international issue, particularly with Iran and Iraq and etc.
yeah.
But just before I come on the show, I saw a recent poll in America, which is beginning to show and strengthening support for Democrats, believing the 20% that showed enthusiasm that they would like to see a change.
I don't know, Joe. I think the polling is showing people who are objecting to the war because Trump came in with a promise of no war. I don't know if the Democrats are like almost believes with PUP and UDP. I don't know what kind of changes we can expect even when the Democrat gets in there. What do you think?
Well, when I look at the polls, as you know, the poll is not just polling in the case of when they are polling to get the views of the voters of America.
Mm,
They will do different pollings within one, the general registered voters generally. They give you a poll on that.
mm,
Then they will give you a poll on those who are likely to vote. Then they will give you on polls on those who are very strong in coming out to vote. Then, of course, they will give you a poll also to tell you, well, who seems to have the lead. I was just reading on the most recent polls that came out, and it seems clearly that it is leaning very strongly now in favor of the Democrats for both houses. And evidently, Republicans within the House and the Senate are very concerned. And I sense recently that one or two of them are beginning to take a stand against what Trump is doing because they believe that the war is evidently hurting them because of the inflation is bringing with it now. So it will
yeah.
be interesting. They are less than 100 days away now. I think it's about 90 days. They are doing the countdown now.
It's like 98 or 99 days from the election.
Yeah.
Is there anything that the Republicans can do to save the day? If they stop the war now, if price of gas goes down, if the economy starts improving, can will that bail them out? Do they even have the time to do it?
Well, there's a saying in life, but they use it a lot in politics. If you want to get out of a hole, you have to stop digging. So the Republicans have to begin to stop digging and try to see how they will get out.
But it's a deep hole. So
Well, yeah, but you've got to stop dig. If there is any hope for you, the best thing to do is to stop the dig.
why yeah, when you're addicted to digging, that's one problem. But we now waste the
So,
time that we have with Lennox with us. We want make the most of his presence here. Lennox, your mic is muted. Join the room, please.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jeremy is
yeah,
trying to get
yeah.
into. I know
Your mic is muted. Your mic is muted. Uh, you the talk. Yeah, heavy clouds but no rain. Your mic is muted, Lennox. I can see it from here. And this is a good thing for us. Yeah, there you go. Say something now.
Hi, can you guys hear me now?
Now we
Yes.
got you loud and clear. Yeah, man.
Good night, guys. Thank you guys for having me.
Well, thank you for
Always a
joining
pleasure.
us. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Lennox, tell me about Lennox because you're studying. Are you still studying, or you're now in the workforce?
Gee, Mike, I finished my degree in 2016.
Wow,
Um, so I've been in the workforce
8 years.
uh,
Yeah.
pretty much. No, I to be very honest, I went. Just a little background so you know. I actually when my first degree is is in biology and environmental science, and I met Joe and I always liked politics. So then after working with Joe for about 8 years or so, I then went back to Venezuela to work in politics and government. And I finished that in 2016. So I always say to people, I basically went to study what I love. So it has always been a continuous process. And I worked in governance and public administration and compliance with the US since then, no? And I'm now in transition back to Belize to enjoy this wonderful country and contribute as much as I can.
Are you gonna enter the political arena locally here now?
Um,
Well, Joe urged you to go politics, so Joe certainly gonna urge you to go there. I mean, we need better than we have. And the question from me to you right now is, how are we doing from your point of view?
I think, G Mike, what we have to appreciate, right? And I use this example all the time. We should not be using an iPhone. We should not be using all this technology as a society. Not in a bad way. I'm just philosophically. We are a 44-year-old society who have no other choice but to be bombarded by all the technology, all the information, all the development of modern societies. And we tend to put a heavy burden on our political system, on our leaders, on our government, assuming that we are 200 years old, 300 years old,
Yeah,
a
but
1,000-year old in our democracy. So
That's a true statement, Lennox, because this is the society and the world
yeah,
we live in where all this exists.
we don't
We
want to
have
be
to
left behind.
question it.
but we're not behind, we're engaging. But I think
Okay.
we ask a little too much of our young democracy because we are basically judging our democracy, or the report card we're using is in contrast with 300-year-old democracies, 400-year-old
Yeah,
democracies.
Lennox,
And it makes it
Lennox,
very
Lennox,
difficult.
Lennox. Integrity not got no age. If we're asking for accountability and performance by the government, that doesn't require 300
But that was the
years.
question you asked me, G Mike. You asked me how we were doing.
Yeah, how are we doing as a government? Yeah, in
I,
Belize.
I, I think we're going through the growing pains of any young democracy. Now, is it unreasonable for us to ask for a higher standard from our leaders? No, it's not. And I think it's okay for us to demand it and request it. But if we have to be objective as a student of politics, you have to realize that these things come with growth, maturity, and time.
You think
So
we're judging them too harshly? Is that it?
you want the honest truth, G Mac? I think
Yes.
we are not doing enough. I remember as a child going to public meetings, having discourse like we're having on your show,
Right.
in the bar rooms, at the house, on the park. I remember a society whereby we engage and we discuss all the political issues and all the government issues in the public space.
And we were younger then.
And we were younger then, you're right,
So,
G Mike. But
but
but no, we have not, no, we have given that up for the last 15 years. I don't think, G Mike, I don't remember ever going to a public meeting anymore
all
where
right.
national issues are being discussed, debated. So it's like we grow this way, but we have also reduced on the things that will make our democracy great. So I kudos to you guys who come here every Wednesday and you
Very
try
good.
to beat out the issues. I hope that the leaders are listening. But this is what develops a democracy.
All right.
These are the type of discussion that we need.
Let's welcome Spooner to the show. Private Citizen Jeremy Spooner, good evening. You're late. I want to write 100 times. I will not be late. Now, Lennox, because what you're saying hits home. I was thinking about the current leadership
No, there was
challenge.
a glitch. There was a glitch between me and Clinton. That's all.
Okay. Now, Lennox, Elude Miller and Pollard running
Yes.
for mayor, and I've said to both of them, I'd like to see some debating going on. I'd like for you guys to be, in a public forum or on a stage like they used to do in the old days, where I remember going to Pongyard Bridge, and they had public meetings, and the politicians were addressing the people. I'm sure Joe was in that age, and we maybe, yes, indeed, we should return to that. So you're kind of like, give me a contradiction here, because while we're young, yes, as a democracy, we have seemed to have gone backwards as opposed to forward.
You're right, G Mac. As to I'm looking for the word. Sorry, to accelerate the growth, we need to engage in these things, and we have lost it. But like what you just said, Elude Miller and Pollard, that is not a national discussion. That is not a city discussion. Those two young men are in a party squabble for who will represent us. And when you look at democracies, that's a PUP internal discussion.
Why? But that's where it
not
starts, Lennox. That's where it starts.
Yes, but until the People's United Party decides which of those two guys have what it takes to represent their organization, their party, I don't necessarily want to hear from them, because until that convention happens, it might not be either of them, or it might be one of them.
I see
So-
Jordan
No,
shaking head, but
let me back up from that, because I don't think I saw Mr. Cohen nodding his head in agreement with what you're saying, but I don't believe that's true. They're serving the public.
Thank
They're
you.
serving the citizens
Not their party.
of the city of Belize. And therefore, if they want to present themselves and want to be favorable and considered and even influence the delegates, it takes a national performance to come out and say, these are the policies I have. If they're looking for people that are intended to serve the city well. If you're just looking for people that will represent your political party, then maybe what you're saying holds some water. But if they're
I
looking
don't-
Yeah, but I think what Mr. Lam is saying, I think it makes a lot of sense in my perspective. My thinking.
of course, I saw the
Mr. Lam is saying that is party politics. What we
It's
thought
not party
was
politics.
national-
It's
Could you allow me to finish?
Go ahead.
okay.
You have national politics and you have subnational politics. So we have three layers: the national, the subnational, which is city council, town boards, and village councils. Now, within those, you have party politics. Mr. Lam is looking at national politics of a country. The issue of a competition within a party, he didn't see it as an issue for discussion at this time, and I think it makes sense.
All right, but
Until
Joe,
that matter is resolved.
you make your point there. Listen to me though. But that's why I think we always choosing, trying to get the lesser of two evils as opposed to a good over an evil. Because if you put if the PUP do that and present somebody there, and the UDP do that and present somebody there that none of us know anything about, and then there you got two people who we don't know enough about to start with. You see my
But
point?
G Mike, the reality is this, guys. I don't probably Joe. I think in this forum here, if I'm not wrong, I think only Joe might have a vote as a delegate or a senior member of the party, the right to elect one of those two guys. None of us in this forum,
But
nobody who is not a delegate will be able to decide whether or not any of these two guys will represent the PUP.
So then where are we? Where are we with that?
So then what we do is we wait until that decision is made, and then we can say to them, if you want to represent my city, this is the requirements. We need a debate. We need to hear your platform. We need to hear it. But at this time, guys, but
by that time it's too late,
to that decision.
It's too late.
You don't have a right to hear what the ideas and views and policies for the city is?
Mr. Gregory,
It has
Let
no,
me finish.
it has no impact on us, Mr. Gregory.
No,
that's how the same thing. I don't
no,
want.
let me finish. Let me finish. You're saying we don't have the right to hear what the views of these individuals are until the party has made a decision as to who they want to present upon us? No, we don't.
Yes, Mr. Gregory, it's a blunt answer. Yes. If you hear it or not, your input does not impact what the party does, because the
But
party has
you
a
influence the party.
selection process where its delegates will decide who runs for the party.
You're
If you
forgetting
if
the
you want to stand on the side of the street and listen to the gossip and have no input, you
I'm
can
not
do
talking
that.
about that. I'm not
But it
talking
has
Well,
no.
well, you're
They're not
painting
speaking
a
to you right now, sir. They're
Mr.
not speaking to
Gregory,
me,
you're,
and
you're
they're not
painting
speaking
a
to you
gloomy
at this
picture.
time.
Then we need to
Mr.
revamp
Gregory,
that whole system.
Mr. Chairman, can
Yeah,
I
yeah.
come back in? What Mr. Lennox is talking about is simple this. You want us to talk about party politics? Well, then fine. Let's do that as the topic. I thought that what we wanted to discuss, and I asked him to be on the show, was about beginning with the Westminster model and Belize and governance.
We get around to that. We can get around to that.
Yeah, but the point I'm trying to make, Mr. Morrison, please just allow me to.
Okay.
If you want to discuss the party politics as to who you think they should elect the party, which you will have no say in, you will not be able to have any say in it. You have no say. No, hold on, I just asked the question.
But you're saying the same thing.
I asked the question, otherwise there will be no sense in I staying here and talking.
But Joe, you can't get annoyed because somebody have a different point
I
of
am
view,
saying
man.
to you, do you want us to discuss that? If you want it, then let's go.
We
Let's
want to
talk about
discuss everything. Nothing is off the table.
Yes,
We can
but
discuss
if you
everything.
want to discuss everything, then do it. It's just that I will not be able to do that with you.
Why not?
If you want to
I
get
am
into
no,
party
no,
politics
Mr.
as to who they
Chloe,
should
you're
appoint,
putting.
I am saying to you, man, please let me bring it to an end right now with me. Me. You want to discuss about the party politics, how they're going to elect their representative?
What do you want to discuss, Joe? Let's discuss what you want to discuss.
I said to you, Mr. Chairman, when I wrote you,
Right.
Mr. Lam is a political scientist in his own right.
Correct.
He has been writing
All right.
very good writing.
Okay.
He wrote an article on the Westminster model and Belize.
Uh-huh.
I thought that it would have been good to
We
discuss
could
it.
get around to that. We
Yes,
can
but
get,
I am
but
asking
you can't. We
I am
don't have, Joe, you can't get upset because somebody has a different
I
point
am
of
not
view,
getting
man.
upset, Mr. Chairman. I'm just like you when I am not pleased with what is happening. I am asking you if we only have 2 hours. 2 hours. I would have thought that we can guide the show to get the most out of the 2 hours. But if we're going into a discussion between Elud and Pollard, all right, fine, go ahead. I will wait.
No, Mr.
Yeah, it's all right. I will wait. Come on, I will wait.
You're missing the point.
The question is not that we want to change the topic. We just brought up whether that should be a part of the discussion. But you guys put this wall up about it. That's not the topic. We are saying that it is good to hear the differences between these two individuals just for the nation. It doesn't matter that we can't participate in that discussion, in that election at this point. But I think it would influence the people and the party if one of these people come across more cogent, more articulate, and more reasonable and appealing to the population. That will, in politics, people want to win, and therefore that would be the individual I think they would favor, unless there's some other agenda going on.
Let me ask a favor, Joe, because admittedly, Lennox is a protege of yours. But no, you don't have to support everything and every point he makes. Let us look at this thing objectively, man, all right? And just because we ask him a tough question, don't mean you have to jump in front of the bullet and take the bullet.
Mr. Chairman, let me defend myself on this, and I will try to do it with the utmost respect for everyone on this show. If you want to discuss the issue of a party appointing through a convention who they want to represent them, fine. I just want to know so that I can then. I don't want to get into that kind of discussion.
Okay, good. Then you sit it out, Joe. Sit it out.
What I'm asking to do, Mr. Chairman, is that it was my suggestion to invite Mr. Lam
So, Joe, everything does not have to center around that. We can have a little other
All I am
discussion.
saying to you, Mr. Chairman, the guest, the person who is the
Yes,
guest, is
yes.
trying to tell you that is not what he is here to talk about.
You didn't tell anything like you didn't say anything like that. You didn't say that. You
Can
said
I
that.
jump in, G Mike? Just
Go ahead, Lennox.
yeah.
Go ahead.
I tell people all the time, right? I would never discount the lessons and the things I've learned from Joe. I came from a UDP family, and Joe allowed me to engage in the political process and gave me my independence to decide where I wanted to be. So I respect him for that. Prior to coming on the show, Joe, if you allow me to speak, me and Joe fight about every single issue, politically and otherwise, because it allows me to develop my thought process. So he's not defending me. We saved the argument for the show, just so you know. But what I was trying to do with both you guys is to appreciate the process. We can sit here and engage in a discussion about Elude and Mr. Pollard as much as we want.
But it wasn't
But
about them, Lennox. It was about.
can I finish? From a substantive standpoint, guys, all I was saying is we do not have the power to elect them. No. If when the convention finishes and we want to discuss leadership, their qualities, their style of the UDP, the PUP, and anybody else that nominates themselves, that would be useful in my mind. But it's not my show. And so that's all I was saying. I personally have an opinion on both candidates that I have no problem.
This is not about the candidates, man. This is about process. That's all we were saying.
But we're not a part of the process, you might.
Hold up. Does who win between the PUP and the UDP represent the people of Belize as the mayor of Belize City?
Yes, but as of today, we do not know who the PUP will select.
Or
would you want
to know how that process proceeds and how we can get the best person to represent whichever party, because they will eventually.
But and this is what I tell people, even within the USA or any country that allows the party politics structure. I have a fundamental problem with a small group of people selecting a candidate to represent we don't have the option to select. The political party decides who represents us. No, we could have that discussion because I have a fundamental problem with that. But do any of us here, apart from Joe Cowie, in my mind,
I think
have the right to select who represents the PUP?
Mr. Lennox, all we were saying is it possible to have a debate between the two individuals? It wasn't going.
We would have to write. We would have to write to the Secretary General of the party and the party chairman and see if they'll have an open debate with their candidates.
Let me ask you a question, because that's going too far. Would you like to hear a debate between the two individuals?
No, I would not, because I do not get to select. I would waste my time because I understand I will not be able to select either of them to represent the PUP.
Mr. Cowie, would you like to hear a debate between the two individuals before the convention?
No, I'm not interested in the debate between the two of them. That's party politics.
Okay.
I'm not in that.
I wouldn't object to a debate. I'd like to see a debate. So I could get an understanding of the two candidates that are presented for the mayorship. You know?
One of the two between PUP and UDP will represent us.
I ask you just one other question then, since you want to discuss it. Would you like to listen to a debate between two people who you have no say in?
Yes.
You will not be able to decide who you want.
Yes.
Now, when you're looking at, hold on, let's be rational, man. You are listening to a debate between two people. I can listen to a debate between two candidates for presidential elections. And even though I cannot vote in America, you want to listen to a debate between two candidates in the party.
Yes.
No. It is not there where you will cast your vote. You know when you will cast the vote? When those two candidates are in the public square.
But aren't we the ones?
In the United States, they have debate between the Democratic candidates before they go to the presidential. They have debate between the
There's nothing new. It's nothing new. But listen. Since Joy watch, but you know what? And I have a problem with it, really, because we don't have to. I'm not going to be put in no box. If I made a comment based on this, and at the end of the day, we, the citizens of this city, will be the ones who will pick between these two individuals. I'd like to know that the two individuals that are up there at least have ideas. I'd like to be involved in the process of selecting the two of them, but we understand that they are delegates that make that choice, and we don't have any say until they don't pick two. So what we try to do then is the lesser of two evils. I'd like to see one good at least of the two candidates, and we know at least if we can. And as a PUP, Joe, you have a say in who is going to be. You have some influence.
Let us continue the discussion along that line. Let me continue it with you if you want to, Mr. Chairman. All I'm saying to you all, we have 2 hours. What is more important to me tonight is to look at how we are being governed in this country. See what we can do to improve our governance. Now, an issue between 2 candidates vying.
That's not part of governance?
Mr. Chairman.
Is that not part? Answer the question, Joe, and then we move on. Is that not a part of governance also?
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. I'd like to know the answer to that question.
It is not a part of governance.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. What can I say?
To you, when it comes to a party, the competition between party is a part of a government. The competition within a party is not part of it. That's within the party.
Isn't that what leads to it, though?
Let me
no,
finish.
but you take all day to say that, Joe.
Hold on. No, man, hold on. In governance, the governance of a country is not about the person you're going to decide that will represent the party. The governance of the country is when you want to decide which candidate or which party will represent the country. And that's why I'm saying let's discuss as much as you want about, but it's not part of the governance of our country. That is a fact.
That might be.
G-Mike, can I suggest something?
But let me say something first of all. That might be why we're in the mess that we're in. But go ahead and say what you want to say.
G-Mike, let me provoke you guys a little bit here. Let's discuss this. This is my honest belief. Joe Coy was a mayor of Belize when I was a little boy. I think the fundamental issue with our city is central government has refused to give the cities the autonomy legislatively for them to do more than cleaning streets and picking up garbage. I think we should hold this discussion because I think that discussion would stimulate these young guys who are running, because for this city to work, in my opinion, more autonomy has to be given to the mayor and the city council, which the central government, for whatever reason, has refused to give to them legislatively. I think that's a discussion we should have.
Yes, I agree.
So, to fuel these young guys, whoever they are, or the other side, to force central government to give them the type of autonomy they need to govern this city properly. I think that is a discussion we need to have, but it's not my show.
No,
but I would like us to talk about that.
We don't need that kind of disclaimer, but let me make one point, Gregory, before you do that. You're talking about giving them autonomy and giving them more authority in the government, but we don't need to know who is going to be there to wield this authority. We don't need to know, because we already do that. Wait till I present with somebody and they need a vote for one or the other. There's something to me fundamentally wrong there. But that's just me, and it's my show. Yes, let's talk about that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I do agree that we need greater democratization of our governance locally, so that I always say that instead of have central government controlling all these things on their own districts, each district should have greater autonomy in terms of be able to appoint leaders for their board of education, their labor board, and all these individual governmental bodies, so that they can look out for the specific interests of those districts. when we look at it, I think the country will develop much faster.
All right.
It would
Let's move on to the topic at hand: the Westminster system and how we are governed. Please, in a nutshell, Lennox, explain to us the whole Westminster system, what you think is right about it, and what you think is wrong about it.
All right. So the Westminster system is a system of government that we have inherited from Britain. Actually it's as old as the Britain system. Once Britain moved from the monarchy running the state to elected officials running the state, and there are different mixtures of the Westminster system. The paper I wrote in the news was to explain that for Westminster to work, Westminster is one type of government system, and it keeps evolving over time. But what if we're not careful? What Westminster create, G Mike, is a prime ministerial dictatorship or a constitutional dictatorship by the cabinet, which is made of ministers. And so what mature societies have done is to put up guardrails to ensure that this supreme power doesn't control. And so for these guardrails to work, you need an independent press, you need an independent judiciary, you need a viable and independent opposition. You need the Auditor General office to be vibrant and strong. When we appoint these, we have numerous boards. We need the boards to be independent and strong. So it allows for the development of the Westminster system, which gives supreme power to the cabinet, but it gives them checks and balances. So what I wrote about is we cannot in Belize adopt the Westminster system, and we have refused or we have moved too slow to put up the guardrails, because what it will create is a cabinet or a prime minister dictatorship where the prime minister decides who is the judge, who is the jury, who is the auditor general, and then when we have the situation where we have these super majorities who basically annihilates the opposition, and the opposition is not strong, it allows for us not to function. I don't know if that gives you guys a clearer picture.
Again, I did the one gloomy prospect, but let me ask you, what is the alternative?
The alternative is to create strong state institutions. The alternative is to ensure that as citizens we demand that these guardrails are in place. It's like you broke your foot and you know you need a walking stick. It's not for you to walk without the walking stick and drop on the ground and say, I dropped down.
You don't have to get personal. Go ahead.
But
no wheelchair now.
Thank you. I'm going to choke on a coffee. Lennox gone for a minute there.
It's a working system like any other. Like any other governmental system that we have in the world. It's not the best, but for it to work, it has to have boundaries, limitations, and safeguard. Because all democracies, guys, run away from tyranny, run away from dictatorship, and that is why we need those in this system.
They run away from it and then embrace it.
I think, I'm not hearing you, Mr. Morrison.
I said they run away from it and embrace it in the same way. You cannot hear me?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Lennox? You can hear me. I know we. Yeah, I'm hearing it.
Yeah, we run away from it, but we still embrace it in the same manner like you speak of with the prime minister dictatorship, where he controls all of the the resources and all of the power by consolidating it. I'm getting an echo.
I know. I think Lennox is trying to listen through on speaker.
I think
Uh, you need a headphone, or something. What you use, Greg? Are you listen?
I have a I have a I have a phone, a speaker, a separate speaker.
Okay. All right. But anyway, Joe, you want to
But
pick up on that until Lennox gets back?
Well, I would like to ask him some questions about
okay,
how
let,
is
let me
it.
go. Let me go ahead with my stuff. Then you could ask him the questions when you get back. Then, Mr. Coy. It's important that we maintain those guardrails and stuff, but how do we implement those and make sure they become a part of the structure of our governance? And I'm thinking that this is the chance where we have the commission for the constitutional reform, where we could make sure that if we have a government of goodwill, any government of goodwill, and it's interesting in making sure that the governance of the country is successful, that they will recognize these. But instead, most of the time we get is government that wants to put limitation on the citizenry and broaden their powers and control over the citizens, and therefore it becomes self-serving to them and not in the interest of the citizens. You're back. You're back, Rena?
Mute. You're muted. You're muted, Lennox. I don't know how hit that button. You're muted. You're muted. You're muted. You're muted. Mute. Let's see if you can see this. You see it back way, no? Muted.
Yeah. I think he's having some problems with his headpiece.
Well, he's not. It looks to me like he just got
Yeah. Oh, I think that the main issue that we are faced with in Belize is that our democracy is not fully being exercised. And part of it is because our citizens, our people are so partisan. They do not look at politics objectively enough. And this is something that's kind of in our DNA and how we've been bred. We look at it more on our party. If our party is right, our party is right. And I'm glad to see that sometimes Mr. Coy step off and he's a pupil to his bone, but sometimes he's able to objectively look at what's wrong and voice it and share that concern and speak about objective governance and what's in the interest of the nation. We need more people like that. And I do believe that in PUP, I see some people like that I'm hoping I'm reading them correctly. I don't want to call it yet.
what I'd like to see is we hear enough of what's wrong, and we see what's wrong and what ought to be and what should be. How is the problem that we don't know? How are we going to fix it? What do we do to put in place? Yes, the people need to be engaged. How do we get them engaged? The ACB that Jeremy Spooner was once a part of, some kind of groups like that can put pressure without the partisan aspect of it. But of course, that turned out to be as partisan as anything else. So it seems like it's tough for us to get away from it. And in particular, we are so greedy. And so we're looking out for self-interest that all they have to do that can we want to leave something, want to leave piece of land. All the delegates understand that land is being given hand over fist. Somebody tell me today that key property is being given to the delegates and that they vote for Mr. Pollard in Outer Queens, Outer Lake High. Now, if that's true, then that's where we mess up and that's where we have to fight against, man.
Yeah.
To just,
my participation in HCB opened up my eyes a lot. You have your partisan people who support either party, and then you have some people who speak out, and then you have a lot of people that will sit on the fence. And I noticed that once the ball started getting rolling after a few years and we started getting a lot of attention and so on, that people jumped off the fence and got involved. And I just don't see our citizens really participating in the democratic process. I think a lot of them, somebody mentioned that it's partisan, but the people in between, they don't want to speak out. I go to people's houses when I used to at the time with ACB, and you hear people talking behind closed doors, hearing that this minister, that this minister, that, and that is it. They don't come out and express that. I had a friend that I was going to bring on to the show when I was at ACB, when I was on Wave as supposed to be the independent representative on their show with Joe Bradley and Novello. Um, I remember I invited a friend of mine, and I hear feedback.
Yeah, Lennox is not figured that out yet. All right.
But what I noticed, what happened is a friend called him up and said, "Don't go on the show with Spooner. You're going to be affected business-wise if you go on the show with Spooner." And he didn't go on the show. And I was very disappointed in him because he had a lot to say, and he had a lot to say behind closed doors, and he was willing to step out behind closed doors. And he has a lot of people, he has a lot of influence, but somebody called him up and told him,
He was warned. He was threatened, actually, it seemed to me, and he chickened out.
yeah, he did. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Belize is a very narrow place, right? If you're squeezed out of a job, if you're squeezed out of a contract,
You're victimized. Yeah, what you do?
it affects your livelihood. So people are very concerned and timid about that. But Mr. Lamb did speak of something that I want to say is necessary. We do need to strengthen these independent organizations, whether it's election and boundaries, whether it is the justice system. We need to bring policies to them so that there's greater independence in the appointment of them. I know politicians want to control everything and want the outcome they want, but I think if they start looking at the development and what's necessary for this country to move forward in the next 25 years, 50 years, 10 years, they will start to see that we need to make difficult decisions and changes, and we need to remove ourselves from this partisan way of thinking so that we can, in fact, make our development a true progress for all our people.
Lennox, you back? Can you say something?
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we
Yes.
can. Loud and clear. Good.
I heard everything you guys are saying, yes.
Yeah, the question I wanted to put here, and then depending on that answer, I will follow up with the next. If you take the Westminster model and you compare it with, let's call it the US model, the Republican model, which one you believe give more power to the elected?
That's a tricky system, Joe, and I'll answer like this. The US boasts that it has democracy, and they are the most democratic society. And the reason for that is, Joe, what the US does is they have different branches of government. So they start from the local level, which is the local city council. Every person has a direct access to their alderman, which we had a farmer system like that, where PUP used to allow each councillor to come from a constituency. So you vote for your alderman, and then you vote for your mayor. That is direct political activity at that level where it impacts you one to one. And then you vote for your state representative. And then you vote for your president via the electoral college, which is at the federal level. So their system does not allow for a direct one-to-one vote at the federal level. But the federal government in the US only has control over certain things. It doesn't have wide control over everything. The president does not necessarily affect what happens in your neighborhood or at your city level,
This
or
president
even at
seems to.
or even at your state level. So you have to pick your poison, guys.
Yeah.
In our system, it works because we still decide who is our prime minister via a direct vote from his constituency, which is then governed by his party. So it's just two separate systems, Joe. None of them are perfect. All of them have their issues. It's whichever one we have, you have to ensure that you make sure that you work it to the best of your ability. Look at the US. They have the federalization system, decentralization. If we look at majority of the things that the presidents try to implement from a national perspective, you have local courts and state courts who basically strike down his decision so it doesn't have no impact on those people in those constituencies. We don't have that system here. We have the prime minister who essentially is a god within himself. So for us, for that to work for us, we have to ensure that we have an independent judiciary. So when they decide to have a state of emergency and grab G Mike, he has to be able to go in front of a judge, and his decision is impartial and independent based on the Constitution. So our fight is not to implement the Republican system, but to ensure that our Westminster is run properly, that our judges are totally independent, and that the body that decides on our judge is independent.
Are you saying that the Westminster system can work if we tweak it and make the necessary adjustments and put in place the infrastructure that's necessary for it to work?
I am saying, G. Michael, if you buy what's the new be a Tesla, and you do not have internet, the proper gasoline, the camp facility, it will not work properly.
But I'd like for you to answer the question, though. Are you saying that the Westminster system can work if it's done well?
The Westminster system will work. It works in Canada. It works in Australia. It works in England. But it has to have the infrastructures in place.
Yeah, we know that. Let me ask you one more question. Should we elect our prime minister as opposed to just let the leader of a political party rise to that position?
Is that you're asking me that personally?
Yes, I'm asking you personally.
I think we have gotten to the point, G. Mike, in our democracy and our development that we should move to what Jamaica has done, Barbados, Guyana, where I think we're ready to select a national prime minister by the cast of every single voters. I think we are ready for that. Yes,
I agree.
And the reason for that is I have a fundamental problem with one constituency deciding if the leader of a political party becomes the prime minister. Because at the end of the day, the decision the prime minister makes is nationally. But for him to maintain his position as prime minister, he has to ensure that he gets his 50+1 vote on election day. So when the axe comes to grind, we're human beings.
You want to be a prime
we
minister?
will look at the interest of our constituency before we look at the interest of our nation.
Yeah.
I would want to, now that I asked you the question, you gave me an answer. I would like to put forward a position to you with the Westminster model.
Yes.
In Belize, not in the UK and the bigger countries, the Westminster model can be more functional as it is.
Yes.
And a good example is that I raised it on this show before. In the UK, for example, you have 400 odd members of the House, but you might only have 29 cabinet ministers.
Yes.
So in Belize, you have 31 members of the House, but you can have 23, or the 2/3 of that majority, plus 4 senators in the cabinet.
Yes.
So I will begin on the reality that under the Westminster model for Belize, the most powerful people to form the state is the legislature. Because once you elect the legislature is effectively making the cabinet.
Yes.
And the cabinet is effectively making the judiciary. And the cabinet is effectively appointing all the service commissions, the three of them. And they are all appointing everybody else that the ministers themselves, the prime minister does not appoint. So if we see this as the fact, the reality in our Westminster model in the case of small countries like Belize, are we not then trying to take more time out to ensure that we get the best within the legislature, if that system is to work? The alternative, as some would want to say, that to elect the prime minister, I don't think that is really the answer, but again, we can debate that. I would say that if we want it to work, we must put the emphasis on the same party politics to compete more effectively and to get the best 16, which is the majority in the House. If we get that, then we can have good governance.
Would you object to the prime minister being elected apart from the rest of the representatives, Joe?
If we're going to, I would not object to it, but if you do that, you have to make some other changes. Just
Like?
change. Yeah, because you
George,
have to.
George, the issue with it is this, right? We could have an unpopular prime minister
That's right.
who is essentially popular within his constituency, but nationally, he is not popular, and he's safe.
Yeah, but
because he can basically marshal.
We have the potential for that, but I don't think that is true because the prime minister is elected by the members of the House by being the leader of that party that won. So I think
not by the House. And again, you're wrong. That's why. And again, Mr. Morrison, you're wrong. That's why, Mr. Morrison. That's why.
Stop. Not the House. I mean, but by the majority in the House.
No, Mr. Morrison.
The majority in the House elects the prime minister.
No, it's by virtue of being the leader of the party. By virtue.
And that's why I intentionally did not engage you guys with the Miller situation. We do not select our prime minister. The political party, through their machinery, selects. Once again, they select their party leader prior to the election. And once he wins the majority,
and they can remove
he becomes our prime minister.
Yes.
We do, and that's why I intentionally did not engage you guys. We don't have no say on who our prime minister is.
Let me ask
the
you a
People's
question.
United Party, Chief, 1 second, and the United Democratic Party and their delegates decide who becomes our prime minister.
Let me ask you a question. Has a prime minister, as the leader of a party, ever lost his seat? And what happens then?
Since Jordan has not happened in our democracy as yet, right?
Yeah, it did happen. What happens is that it happened before with UDP. So what you do, you had a leader of the party outside the parliament. And then you had a leader of the party within the parliament who is elected.
But not at the prime minister level, Joe. That didn't happen before the law changed.
It didn't happen. It didn't happen in the case of the party forming the government.
Yes.
But it happened when the party was in opposition.
Yes.
So that would happen.
At one point, I think, Mr. Lam, and I asked Mr. Morrison to at least let us agree on that. He's quite right, Mr. Lam. Mr. Lam is quite right when he's saying it's the party effectively, constructively elect the prime minister. That's a fact. Right.
I agree. Yeah.
Now, once he becomes, his party wins, he becomes the prime minister by virtue of that.
Yes.
That is why I am saying that the Westminster model can work if, in fact, we can make sure that we get at least 16 people in the House that is which is prepared to carry out that model. That's what is important.
Is that asking a lot?
It is asking a lot if it's a case where the less the people participate beyond the ballot box, the more important that we do not have to impose restraint on the elected. And that is the choice that is facing us right now in this country.
I believe that if we were to elect our prime minister, we'd get that greater separation in our constitution where you have a true executive, a legislative, and a judiciary. Because as it stands right now, I know the executive in our situation is made up of the prime minister and the cabinet. But I believe if we were to get where we have a separately elected prime minister, that would really create that separation, that we could hold that executive truly accountable for policies and decisions, and they will act more, I believe, in the overall national interest, since they need to come to the general citizenry to get themselves elected.
Let me raise a point here that maybe we should all know and agree on. The Westminster model has been proven universally to be a better model than the Republican model.
Agreed.
Many Americans have admitted that. And why?
Agreed. Agreed.
Why? The Republican model provides for a lot of deadlock, a lot of divisiveness and bitterness. In the Westminster model, once you get the House of Representatives correct, everything will roll. You don't have these deadlocks. You don't have these vindictiveness. If you go and elect a prime minister now in Belize, he cannot do anything with the consolidated fund. He cannot. So if he happens to get elected, let's say the person get elected as prime minister, he's a PUP. But the majority of the people in the House are UDP. He's a dead duck.
G Mike, would you allow me to be? Joe will get upset, and I'll be a little provocative here, right? G Mike, one of the key rules to ensure that the cabinet works properly is the permanent secretaries. The permanent secretaries are institutionalized bureaucrats who appreciate and have worked through the system to help the ministers who are the executive officers of ministry. Now, if you want to have some fun, G Mike, you need to ask one of the engineers that removed the PS out the system, Joe Cowie, who did it through his public sector reform as a minister. Why he did it, and G Mike, and it has proven that was one of the biggest errors that was made against the Westminster system. So you have one on him now.
I agree. I agree, but I did say at the start. Hold on. I did say at the start we're not going to no scapegoats. So we don't want to scapegoat the man. But we do know who's guilty, and yes.
Mr. Lam, let me correct you here. The CEO without a permanent secretary is not the Westminster model. The Westminster model is the CEO, which was referred to by the Commonwealth Parliamentary Association when I was sitting with it, as the political animal, but the permanent secretary was to remain. That what we are practicing is not the Westminster.
But isn't that redundancy though?
No, it is not.
I think that's what Mr. Lam says.
Like, if you want me as a guest, I will come and explain it. But let me finish with something very important. We need to stop advocating without thinking of the consequences for the popular election of a prime minister. And I cited the case. He gets elected, and he's a PUP. But the majority in the House are UDPs. What happens to him?
Well, I don't think that I think that leads to compromise and better governance. I think that leads to compromise and better governance, because the prime minister will want to get things done, and if he wants to get things done and he's working with a democratic, with a different government, he will make sure that they.
One minute. Gentlemen, 1 minute. Somebody has some construction going on in their house. Who?
It's very important.
No, it's fireworks. It's fireworks.
In your area, then mute your mic till they're ready for talk from me, because it kind of like a little distraction there, no?
Joe, can I say this?
Could you allow me to just come in on this one important point? Very important. He said just now, Mr. Morrison, and I need to show him where that is a fallacy. It will make for good governance if the Prime Minister is a PUP, but the majority of the House are UDP. That is not good governance. What am I going to finish? I tell you
I didn't say it was good governance. I didn't say it was good, but you mischaracterizing what I said. I did not say it was good governance.
What did you say?
I said it could work because the Prime Minister could make deals and agree, and they work in a way that they share values and work in a partisan way to resolve issues and to make government work. I didn't say it was good governance. I didn't say it was the best governance.
Mr. Morrison, I am saying to you again that what you are saying when it comes to the parliamentary system and the Republican system, what you are saying is an inherent fallacy. Why? Hold on. The two of them support party politics, the Westminster model and the Republican. How can you expect that the Prime Minister of a PUP party will be having the same policy like the members of the House of a UDP? That is total nonsense.
Joe, can I say something? Joe, if we have a hybrid, like some countries in Europe have, where it's the first to the line who becomes it. So, for example, it's a race to 15 or 16. And once you hit 16, your Prime Minister elect then becomes Prime Minister. So it won't be a situation whereby you have a
minority,
a UDP majority and a PUP leader or vice versa. It's the first race to 15.
But isn't that what's happening now, though? Explain to me how that is different from what we have now.
So what you do, G Mike? We all then elect. The party puts up 2 party leaders, and then we then vote for who we want to be the leader. But it's the first race to the top. So whoever hits the number first, their leader becomes the leader.
But that's what happens now, Lennox.
No, you don't have a say who votes. You don't have, even if it's ceremonial, we don't have a say who.
You mean each party elects their leader as opposed to
and we vote for them simultaneously as we vote for a representative.
Let's go back to the city council matter we were discussing earlier, because it's the same thing then.
Exactly.
We would have no say in who becomes Prime Minister anyway at that point, because they do that without us. It would be done by delegates and not by us. It would be the party.
G-Mike, you, me, and every Belizean love a red or a blue shirt. So for us, we as a people just find it wonderful to vote by party.
I think that has changed. I think that while that used to be maybe 40-40-20, I believe it's now 20-20-40.
So you really think we have developed enough independence can run?
I think so. I think we've got one more objective, and we got a problem now. We got a herd mentality, and this is what Spooner was describing. That people were on the fence, and when they see the thing, the group, then jump in. They're like, then jump in at the herd and run with the herd. They just want to be a part of the herd. They don't really even want to be heard, to use that word. No, so I think
that's, and this is our next discussion for our next show. I think the Belizean voters are very mature. I would not. I beg politicians not to
underestimate them.
The Belizean voters. They'll tell you, they'll take money, they'll vote. We have voted out governments who had severe money, severe machinery for a change. So I would not say that's about. I think we have a very, very, very mature.
We have a very sophisticated set of voters.
I think so, but let's look at a very important cog in this whole wheel. The media, and you mentioned it earlier, that there's a need for an independent media. I don't see that now. Like I see now Jules going after the PUP hard, but is he really going after them to improve the situation and governance, or is he just trying to get some traction for his UDP party? Because we know where his allegiance lies.
And you can't always view it. You can't always view it that's what he's doing. But that's the one in government, and that's the one that is supposed to be representing
Under
us.
scrutiny? Is
And
that the
yes,
one that's under scrutiny?
that's correct. That's correct. And
Yeah.
therefore,
I wrote an article today, and I spoke to Joe about it. It's around this defense fiasco. You worked at the police, G-Mac, so you understand national security. You understand we have local terrorism. We have when the media forgets their responsibility, and their responsibility primarily in a young democracy like ours is information. When both political parties use the media to weaponize information, when media houses, and you guys know this because you guys are older than me, when media houses use their platform to stick up political parties and individuals and entities so that they can make a dollar, it really disrupts the role of the media within the society. We look at this
don't you think the
fiasco with
media
the
should
Defense
hold
Department, right?
Mr. Lamb, shouldn't the media hold the government accountable if there's indications like you
No.
mentioned?
The media responsibility is to give the information
Yeah,
to the
and hold them
people.
accountable.
No,
Yeah,
they're not.
yeah,
They're,
yeah, yeah.
no. We as no. Each of us have a role. We hold the government responsible. Every single Belizean, every single voter. The media's job is not to hold anybody accountable. They are to give the information so that we can make
That's what they're
informed
doing.
decisions to hold.
Well,
Follow
see,
me.
let me tell you, because and I one time said to Jules himself, I said, Jules, why don't you, along with the gory details of crime, put in some of the good stories, the feel good stories? Right? And he said, boy, I mean, people don't want that because if it bleeds, it leads. And that's the whole
Well,
bottom line.
it's not about bleed, it leads. The media people are in the business of making money. So
Yes.
what he wants is ratings.
Right.
And I told you this, when we have a situation whereby we have a active dispute with Guatemala. It's real. We have narco trafficking taking place in Belize. We have local terrorism. We have outside aid. And when we use the media to expose everything that went wrong or is going wrong
Negative.
with our media, with
So,
our military,
let me
what
ask
that
you a
does,
question, Mr. Lamb. Let me ask you a
yes, sir.
question because that you're going on along with that, and we get that point. So the media should not hold accountable when the government is making.
Uh-uh.
Let me finish.
I did not say that.
Let me finish. Then you could answer me. If the government is buying military weapon for our soldiers and buying domestic type, private type of weapon that is not rated for military use and paying 3 times or 2 times the going price for it, you don't think that if they have that information, they should share it with the public? Yes,
No,
it breaches our national
no.
security.
Listen to me.
It tells our enemy that we don't have the best weapon to defend ourselves. And I know it affects the morality of our soldiers when they would learn that our government is not taking care of them as
And
they should.
also tell those who are supposedly enemies where our weaknesses are. I mean,
Exactly.
is it
And they have and G Mike, you're right, and they have a responsibility to know when to stop.
right?
There's a
I
way
agree.
to get that information.
Shouldn't
But
this be
but but,
addressed, Mr. Lamb?
Because no,
but let me say something because you
I
know
don't need
what?
to know. G Mike, can I just say this? As a
No, you
citizen,
need to know. You need to
as a
know. You
citizen,
need
I
to know
don't
if the
need to.
soldiers.
I
You
don't.
need to know if the soldiers don't have
But
the
you
proper
can know.
weapon.
You can know.
Pastora, can you yield some of your time to me, please?
Um,
Go ahead.
you want to talk, Joe?
Yes, man, you know how long I try to get it?
You know
Right.
you Jesus Christ! All right, go ahead, man. Go ahead, Joe. Go
All
ahead.
right, Mr.
Because
Pastora,
you're
thanks
being
for giving your
quite
time.
cantankerous.
I'm very cantankerous right now on this point. Let me say something. I listened to Mr. Lam and I listened to Mr. Morrison, and to some extent the chairman. One of you telling us what the media house ought to be. and the other one is saying what it is. Let's come back to the issue of what they are to be. It is exactly what I think Mr. Lam said they are to be. It's about informing the public. No. What is happening to the media houses in the United States and in Belize? Who owns it decides what it does. That's what is happening. If you take any of them and you look at who owns it, they decide what is it that they will do. So
Okay, now
that is what is happening. The
can
PUP has a media house. The PUP is there to support the PUP. The UDP has a media house. UDP is there to support
but they're not really the media house, they're the propaganda machine.
Whatever you want to call them, they are media house, and they're licensed,
but
and they're licensed under the Broadcasting Act. No, when you look at the other ones in between, what we think are in between, when you look at the Channels 5, the Channel 7, they are Mandela and them. It's clear to us what is their way of coming over to the public. Depends on who the owner is.
But may I say something? May I say something? Because since when I yielded to you, I think we could leave it up in time. The thing is that the public now, and this, and actually I've been making this point, the public needs to be more involved, because see, the public loves to go after the uneasy lies the head that wears the crown. So the media now look for everything that is gonna make the government that they look bad and weak, and the public yearns for that, because they want to see that even many who were objective in not care which one, and we just want they like to see when they're going after those in power. There's something about it. I guess I want human nature actually.
I don't think it's a human nature in the sense that people just want you to go after somebody. I think it is in the nature of party politics when it gets to extremists that the UDP will want to go after the PUP. That's what they are doing. And when the UDP is in, the PUP wants them to go out of the UDP. No. You want to strengthen your democracy? Let those who are in need of PUPs and UDPs in that fanatic sense, let them participate more. And one of the suggestions, if you allow me to make it now here, what about if we decide that we want to leave a prime minister coming from the majority in the House? So you will have a prime minister who has the majority in the House, but allow the prime minister to appoint the cabinet from outside the House and the Senate. What about that suggestion? Then the House will be able to have the cabinet more accountable.
But we haven't seen that sort of accountability in the other appointments. We don't see it in the election and boundaries. We don't see it in any other place where the prime minister and the judiciary. We don't see that true independence, because the prime minister and the government exercise such control over them. So that's why I agree with Mr. Lam. We need to strengthen those independent branches that are supposed to ensure that our democracy function.
Lennox, I'm sure you've heard that point by Joe before, and I have heard it a number of times. What do you think about that idea, with the prime minister being elected and then he allowed to appoint his cabinet from outside of the House, where the House then holds them? Is that similar to how the U.S. does it? Because the U.S., but they elect the House and the cabinet.
The cabinet is appointed separately.
I like the concept that Joe has. I think what it will force, because we have eroded the public service so bad politically, and I'm throwing stones at Joe, but also we as citizens have neglected our role within the state.
That we know.
So we don't have spine. We want a job. We want to be liked. We want to hang out with the politician.
Right.
We don't stand for anything else. So what you would think would happen, like in the US, when the president selected cabinet members and his decisions went against medicine, once again military, once again education, once again the central bank. These independent original of professionals resign because their integrity meant more to the success of the union than being favored by leadership. So I think we have to start holding each other responsible. We need to, when we get these positions, Joe and G Mike and Spooners and Mr. Morrison, we have to understand that our obligation is to our nation and that we have to stand up and be the leaders that we want. And I think that is where the breakdown of the society and the breakdown of government comes from. You know, our leaders don't come from Mars. Our leaders come from around the corner. But we have lost, and that's why a lot of people say, well, democracies that don't fight in a war for independence no work. Because we never fight for it, we never believe in it, we're not passionate about ensuring.
I don't think that two go together. Just because we don't fight for it, I mean we don't believe in it.
Well,
I think
I don't know. I think since the G7, I don't think we have ever had a situation where a group of Belizeans in any position was prepared to throw it down and say, we are resign because it's wrong. On no level.
Did it help anything? Did our system get any better as a consequence of that?
I think it did.
I think good question, Jimmy, but we're not going there. I'm saying to you, at least we had a glimmer of hope that 7 men said, this is going wrong, and we are prepared to give up the pretty vehicle, the ministerial title, the salary, because we're not going on this road. I think that is something that we never highlighted it properly. We blame them for the demise of the party versus the stand they made for the society. And if we had championed that behavior, if we had ensured that those men were looked at as the heroes they were just to make that type of stand, I think it would have sparked a different level of society. And sadly enough, I was in a discussion this weekend where this same topic came up. And the issue was not about the heroic stand that these men made to stand up to the Prime Minister and the political establishment. It was about you guys went against the party and the party did not, and you caused this. And I think that is where we are at this point. Nobody wants to stand. The custom officer prefers to join the gang and rob and said, no, we're not allowing this. The police officer refuses to say, I'm not a citizen. I don't care. It will not happen.
Do you believe that the electorate actually thought that those rebels, if you will,
even the terminology, I haven't stopped it. They were not rebels, mate.
Were they not going against the established? Were they not going? Hold on. You don't determine what word I use, though. Were they not going against the established order? That's what you're saying we should do? Stand up? Did they not stand up against what was?
No, they stand
all right,
up.
So let me use a different word. These heroes that you say. I don't know heroes. You weren't heroes to me. You were rebels. So anyway,
you will never be able to understand the depth of what we did because
that's right. You won't be able to convince me. Don't tell me I won't be able to understand
governance.
If I remember correctly,
fine.
I am going to stand up for what I did, and I can defend what I did.
Yes, so we know that. You're not defensive. This is not an attack on you. This is not an attack on you. This is not an attack on you. You don't need to be defensive. Spooner, you were saying what?
Yeah, if I remember correctly.
Can you let the man speak in a yield this time?
If I remember at the time correctly of the G7, It was just before the weekend, and the minister that they were wanted to resign was out of town, and they somehow, I believe, Mr. Musa convinced the G7. Let's wait till the minister comes back next week, and we will talk about it. And I think that gave Mr. Musa and the minister they were against at the time to undermine the G7, and then that coup failed, if I remember correctly, right?
But let me ask the question. Hold up. I am not.
Go ahead.
Let me ask a question that I was trying to ask. Do you, and I ask you, Lennox, believe that the electorate of that time believed that the ministers were really standing up for what is right, or was there some ulterior motive that they were upset about somebody never get something, or somebody was getting more than the others were getting?
G-Mac, I will say this to you. I was a member, I was an electorate at that time. I, like thousands of Belizeans, felt that the fiscal decisions of the government was running the country at a risk, and we were going to collapse and get into devaluation and major problem. We felt.
And when you say we, you're talking about the electorate.
I'm talking as a voter. I'm talking as a member of the electorate.
Right.
I felt like the position that they made was the right decision, and their actions were totally in the best interest of the country. That's how I felt. And I think a lot of Belizeans felt that way. And I think one of the downsides, and we can't replay history, but I'm telling you, if the G7 had stayed the course and not think that they can fix it from within, we would have seen them. They had all the fixing to be the leaders of this country for the next 25 years if they had held the course.
Let's ask Jeremy to expound on the point he was making, because he suggested that by Stalin and the Prime Minister Said Musa, and of course this person they wanted to remove was Ralph Fonseca, who they felt was going crazy. Do the undermining that you suggest happened, Jeremy, is that they were able to go in there and convince them, enough of them, that maybe they should come back in as opposed to fighting it from outside?
I don't know what the Minister Fonseca dangled in front of them, or what he had on them as ministers in their performance, whether there was something in the background that he could have brought out publicly.
Epstein files.
Yeah. But one thing that I did like about it was that at the time the press and the environment was very active about the corruption of the PUP, and I think the G7 stepping out validated a lot of what was being said about the party at the time on the corruption. So it helped the movement against the government of the day. But I think something was dangled, something Mr. Fonseca had that made these G7 step back down.
Let me ask you another question. It helped the downfall of the government of the day.
I think it.
Let me finish the question. Let me finish the question, please. It helped the downfall of the government of the day, but did it help the system of governance under which we live, and did it make an improvement in how we are governed?
Well, it didn't help the PUP's mode of operandum. Something happened within their party that they got spanked.
Did it help the UDP when they came in to do a better job of governing, of governance? And they had a
great mandate, but I think they failed. They didn't perform as a lot of us were expecting.
No, but did it put in any infrastructure? Any measures that would have provided for better governance? So it was basically a futile exercise.
Well, it shows that our democracy can stretch and survive this type of inner fighting within the government.
Joe wants to
You know, I find it, Mr. Morrison, Mr.
Yeah.
Spooner, Mr. G. Microwave, the chairman, and Mr. Lennox, I find it very disrespectful.
Disrespectful because we disagree or
So
ask
I will, if you
questions?
allow me to talk, I will tell you why. I find it quite disrespectful.
Of who, Joe?
But allow me to talk now. That's why
Okay.
I am finding it quite disrespectful. I sit on this show as a came first as a guest, and I'm here as a host. I had offered myself more than once to come as a guest and to speak on the G7. Here I am sitting here on this show tonight, listening to those being asked about the G7 and listening to you all saying things that were not true. And I'm not saying you are saying them to be so out of any bitterness. I think you just was misinformed.
What
I
are
can
we saying that wasn't true, though? If you make that statement, you need to clarify.
All right. Why don't you do something, Mr. Chairman? Why don't you?
No, Joe. I'm not going to do anything.
Well, then if you don't want to do anything, tell me and I can leave the show because you want to do it.
It's not got nothing to do with it.
But I'm telling you, I sit here.
Right.
And you are being disrespectful to not even want to ask me about the G7.
But you don't want to talk about that. You want to talk about the Westminster system?
Why don't you ask me the same question you're asking?
You don't want to talk about that.
Yes, I'm willing to talk about it right now. Ask me any question you want about the G7.
We don't got no more time. I have to do that on another
That's
show.
right. You don't have no more time because everything you all said was not true.
Well, correct us then. Come on.
One, there was no such thing about the minister dangling anything in front of anybody. The truth about it, I alone went in to see the prime minister. Me one. I told him what I was finding wrong. He called the minister in. He told the minister what I said. The minister said, why are you telling the prime minister that? I tell him because you are not telling him. And I went through it with him again. And he asked me then, what should we do? I tell him the first thing we'll need to do is restructure the debt, or we must carry out a fiscal consolidation, and I'm willing to do it. And after I said that to them, I told the prime minister I'm leaving, and I left. Now, what happened on the weekend? There was a meeting in Ladyville, and there was a meeting where the then prime minister was there to give support to the then minister of finance. And he talked about it going to blow over as a little breeze. And I decided then it seems that they had no intention of wanting to address a serious matter where this country, the public sector was about to implode. Serious, we couldn't service the debt the next year. 300 million. The budget was only less than $1 billion. We couldn't pay.
Well,
Hold on, please. No. I decided I will resign. I decided, me alone. And I was taking my resignation. Two of them found out that I was resigning, asked me to hold. They spoke with me, and they agreed that they should resign. And then the others heard about it. And that was when the others decided that they will resign also. So I took to the prime minister resignation. And one went in with me, and the 7th resignation was delivered. You know what it was saying? We told the prime minister, you have a choice. You go with the status quo. We're not coming back. You want to carry through the restructuring and the debt, the fiscal consolidation, and strengthen back the public funds. We will come back and do it for you together. That was it, Mr. Chairman. You can ask any question you want. Anyone are free to ask the question. Go ahead.
Mr. Cohen, you were there, and part of what we understand that kind of affected this revolt was that the then finance minister had taken like $20 million and invested it in the currency exchange and lost that money. Is that factual? That to your knowledge, is that part of what was
Mr. Morrison, what you said is factual, but I don't like how you present it. You are presenting it as if though that was the issue. That was one of the...
No, I'm asking. That was one of the issues.
That was one of the abuses of public funds, but it's not only that. It's not just 20 million I'm talking about. If you want, I can give you more. If you bring me on the show as a guest and I could talk, but let me understand clearly. I am not coming on any show to condemn no former minister that was there at the time. But it's important for us to speak about the governance in a generic sense, to know what had gone wrong then, and then we can talk about what went wrong after the new government came in, and then we can talk about what is going wrong now. That is what I call objective and dispassionate. But nobody seems to want to really know what happened. They just want to have their own say about what happened. And I want to leave you with this to make sure that you understand clearly what I'm saying. The Prime Minister engaged the former Minister of Finance of Mexico, who brought Mexico out of the tequila crisis. He was then a financial consultant international, engaged him to give him his opinion on the state of the public sector. I didn't know he had done it. He invited me to his home one evening, and I went. Just two of us was there with him. The gentleman was there. And you know what he opened up with? He said, Mr. Prime Minister, your country is going into a brick wall. Your Minister of Finance have let you down. You will have to make a choice. Only you can do it. That was the synopsis of his word.
Can I ask you something?
You asked me, I wish you would all ask me now, if whatever you want to go
No,
ahead.
no. Well, as you were there at that meeting on the weekend, one of the primary non-negotiable demand by the G7 was for the Prime Minister to immediately remove the Finance Minister Ralph Fonseca from his portfolio, or put a strict restraining order on his control over public funds. Did that occur?
What occurred is exactly what I will say, and it might be what you are saying, but I want to put it in my words. The Prime Minister, one of the conditions was that he should remove the Minister of Finance, from Minister of Finance, not to remove him from the cabinet. Mm-hmm. And he was to set up a public finance committee. He will decide who he wants as Minister of Finance. In the end, he chooses that he will be. And he was to set up a public finance committee where the same minister who was formerly Minister of Finance will sit down with us. 7 of us were with him. And that was how we're going to plan to bring back the public sector. But nobody had said he must be removed from the cabinet. As a matter of fact, when we were at the first public finance meeting, one of the ministers who came from the Senate looked directly at him and he said, I think you should resign. Then the Prime Minister...
Answer the question, though.
Sure.
Ask the question again, because no, you didn't. He asked the question. What's the
You
question?
want me to ask the question again?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, ask it again. I thought I answered it.
I have a list here by Mr. AI, the core demands, and one of them was strip Ralph Fonseca of power. The primary non-negotiable demand was for the Prime Minister to immediately remove Finance Minister Ralph Fonseca from his portfolio or put a strict restraining order on his control over public funds. And that came from the Amandala paper at the time.
No, what he's saying there is not untrue. That's what I told you. He was to remove him from the portfolio as Minister of Finance.
Did it happen?
No, yes, it was.
It happened? He moved?
Yeah, the Prime Minister.
The Prime Minister removed him as the Minister of Finance and put him in another position.
He did?
That's right, he did.
Ask AI that for me, please.
Okay.
Musa became Minister of Finance for that period.
Okay.
The Prime Minister became Minister of Finance, and he had 2 people within the Ministry of Finance as what you call it, junior ministers. Then
all right. So that answers the question.
He appointed myself and Johnny Briceño to sit in finance with him, and he set up the Public and Finance Committee with us on it.
That answers the question. Could you put that comment up back by our our listener that's usually here with us, our faithful listener? I forgot that.
He was concerned. He was speaking that the
he was bringing it back into focus with Westminster. Let me say this, Joe. You do note that you weren't hesitant at all about talking about all of that, but when we tried to talk about something else, we were out of order. So I mean, if we talk, we could talk. Now the Westminster system. He was saying that it has failed in the UK. Lennox, is that correct?
No,
that is far from correct. What the Westminster Britain has the flaw with the Westminster system, guys, is they're racing to stop prime ministerial dictatorship or cabinet full control. If you watch in Britain, because their Westminster is so developed, they have in the last 10 years they went through 7 prime ministers.
Yeah.
That shows the dynamics and the power of that system.
I also
where
shows instability on the part of the system.
no, it shows instability as it relates to a
Because
prime minister thinks a prime minister thinks and believes that he can control or dictate the order of the day.
and all
And
seven of them get in there and thought some was proven wrong.
and they were sent and they were told like any representative who does not do what the people want, pack up and go home.
Yeah.
That's what you want.
One
Can
prime
I ask
minister
you a
took
question,
him last
Mr.
3
Lam?
months.
Can I
That's
ask you a
people
can
power.
can I ask you a question?
Yes.
How long is the United Kingdom existing as an independent sovereign country?
About 300 with the Westminster system or from the starting.
Well, let's begin with the Westminster system.
They're about 300 years.
Yeah.
They have been working on their system about 300 years now.
So
And I would say,
it comes back to the point that we are
my
young.
point I want to make is this.
16.
Recently, we have seen where there have been a series of changes with the Prime Minister.
Yes.
I do not see it as instability.
It's not, Joe. It's not.
That's why I wanted to say to the chairman that you were
Yeah.
asked whether you think it's creating instability. It is
No,
not.
it's not. No, it's
And
not.
it is showing maturity.
Severe maturity.
That's
It
right.
is showing the
Severe maturity.
Two
That's
things
right.
can be true at the same time. Obviously, the fact that you changed 7 prime ministers and over how many period, at how much period of time?
Mike, the prime minister served at the will and the beck and call of his people.
We know
The
that. The
government
point,
still function. The government still function. The
The
schools were
properly
working,
function, but
the
if
schools were working, everything was functioning even when they changed prime minister. So
yes,
it looks kind of funny, but I don't think it could be described as dysfunction.
the economy is intact. You're not playing with the will of the people, and you go home. And if you fall out of line with your party, because your party members have their every single representative have their mandate from their constituency, and
could that
if you are not in line with the principles of your party, the members of the House of Representatives, you will pop up and go home. You're not going to lead us. That shows maturity.
could that happen in our system, the way it's practiced?
No,
No, it
No.
cannot.
no.
All right, so,
No, it
so
cannot.
Let me put in a plug here, Mr. Prime Minister. I mean, Mr. Lennox. Let me put in
Yes.
a plug. Let me put in a plug.
we're in the future there.
In our constitution, which I have before me here,
Yes.
it gives
My board members
direction
is
and
a
control to ministers over the cabinet, over their
Yes.
portfolio.
Yes.
The same thing happens in the Westminster model because we are a part of the Westminster model.
Yes.
Now, one of the things that showed maturity for a country like the UK, and if we liken it now to what had happened in the period of the G7 with the minister.
Yes.
In the Westminster experience, the British, the UK experience, whenever a minister believes, even though he is not guilty of went wrong on his portfolio, but he accepts responsibility and resign, even though he is not guilty.
Yeah.
He is carrying out the same constitution we have.
Yeah.
What the gentleman had said around that table in that public finance is a graduate of one of the most distinguished universities in the UK, and he's a lawyer.
Mhm.
And he said to the gentleman, he said, follow the system that you have come from yourself, in a sense. He said, you don't have to be guilty of what happened, but you are responsible and you should resign. That is the issues we should be talking about and try to make sure that we get men and women there who can accept that when they are in that cabinet or in that house, that they have a responsibility. And when that responsibility is to resign, not because you are guilty, but something went wrong and they watch, resign.
all right, Lennox, can I ask you a question?
Yes, you can.
Could we maybe hang on to the Westminster system, which obviously has some good points to it, tweak it to fit our way of governance, or is there some written or unwritten rule that it cannot be tampered with if you want to follow it?
No, I think I love our Westminster system. I think it's one of the best systems in the world. The problem in Belize, G Mike, is we have weakened the safeguards. We have weakened the state. We have weakened the independent arms within the society to make the Westminster system work.
Can
That's
you
why giving
identify a few of those ways in which we have weakened it?
G Mike, we have had, sorry, it's a little bit late. We have had, I would want to say something close to 15 or 20 special select committees and inquiries over the years. What has happened to any of those?
Nothing.
When have we seen the auditor's report being tabled on time and action be taken? Have we seen the independence of our judiciary in the way we want to see it? No. Have we find it cute and nice to see the annihilation of our opposition. Those weakening. We have refused to make the leap to make our Senate independent. An independent Senate is essential.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
we have look at all the boards, all the boards, all the appointments on both sides. All the political parties do it.
It's the structure.
The matter of elected Senate, I think, is one that could gain traction that many people will agree with. But I think you saying we celebrating the disillusion, the disenfranchisement or the diluting of the opposition, let me dismantling. The word you use is dismantling. You said, but I think, and most people understand that a strong opposition is necessary to a good democracy, don't you?
Yes. I totally agree. But when we have, I don't want to get into it on this show, but if we had a last election, guys, where you had 3 constituencies that did not have a representative that ran.
Contested.
And if the rumors are right,
it might be worse this time.
If the rumors are right, why these people did not run? It's disgraceful. It's disgraceful.
Can I ask you a question here, Mr.
Let me just ask one thing.
Can I just ask Mr. Lam a question? Mr. Lam, you have said that you believe that the Westminster model is one of the best in the world, and I concur with you on that.
Yeah.
So therefore, if we adopted the Westminster model, then in my judgment, there is nothing wrong with our system. And if nothing is wrong with our system, then isn't it an issue of our mindset, that we the people? If the system is okay, then why
you adjust your perspective?
Don't you think it's we the people?
Now, just the perspective, you're saying that there's nothing really wrong?
I am saying that if you find
that is a good system and we adapted it.
You see all the things that went wrong in the country then with both parties.
The implementation
of it is not because of this constitution. It is not because of any fault of this. It has been the fault of us, generally the people. Isn't that the problem?
We implement it. But I think one of the issues to strengthen our judiciary is to make sure we have to have an independent judiciary is for the government to set up a board to appoint the judges and stuff more independent from government, and also to set a fixed budget as to what the judiciary should be allotted as a percentage of our GDP. If we do that, we will have then a better and more effective judiciary, and that is important to maintain our democracy because that holds everybody accountable, people in private and people in government, and the governance of our country.
I can assure you, Mr. Morrison, that what you are saying is not true. It's a flaw. And let me tell you why it's a flaw in the Westminster model, and even in the Republican model. You will never be able to have the Public Service Commission, the Services Commission, Judicial and Legal Services Commission, the judges and the public officers. You will never be able to have them so independent from the people who you elect. No, you will not. No,
I'm not saying.
I'm saying to you that every one of them must come from the people you elect. They have to.
I agree with you. That's not what I'm saying.
You can't change that.
No. Listen to what I said carefully. Listen to what I said carefully, Mr. Corey, because I think we have.
Say it again. I can listen good.
I said that we should set up the financing and the management of the judiciary so that it's more independent. And the funding for the judiciary operation should be part of our GDP so that they're not in time guessing how much government will allow or give to them so that they can do proper planning and proper management and fiscal management based on what the budget is and not at the whim and decision of a government of the day that may favor or less favor a strong judiciary.
But that
That's
is not the way, but that's not the way it is now, Mr. Morrison. That's what I'm telling you. What you are saying is not true. It's not the ministers that decide that. It's the Consolidated Fund, the Appropriation Act. That's come from the
but
legislature.
but but who makes that determination of how much money to
The legislature, Mr. Morrison, not the
that
not the cabinet.
I don't I'm
What?
but
What is the cabinet?
isn't it made based on the government allotment rather than a person? I'm saying it
No,
should be
Mr.
made.
Morrison.
I'm saying
No,
it.
no.
Let me say. I'm saying it should be made as a percentage of GDP, so that the judiciary knows what allotment of money will be given to them every year when that budget is
Mr.
planned.
Morrison, that makes absolutely no sense to put a person's salary as a percentage of your GDP. So if the GDP doesn't grow and the person importance and his value to the office is growing,
But our budget
it
grows
makes
every
absolutely
year.
no sense,
Our
Mr.
budget
Morrison.
grows every year, Mr.
Mr.
Colin.
Morrison, do not tie nobody's salary to no GDP. That doesn't make any sense. Your salary is there to compensate you for the position you hold, which is your job description and your job profile. No, that is what goes to the House of Representatives and in the Appropriation Act.
But it
That
was
is
didn't
where
go to the Appropriation Act. This wasn't
uh,
that wasn't bypassing. It was just giving a predictable amount of money that would be allocated. It's not changing any of the structure of how it gets through to be
Mr.
dispensed.
Morrison, all I am trying to guide you on, if you allow me to, is that some of the things you are saying is not part of governance of a country. It has nothing to do. Those things that you are talking about, what you want for judges, which is what we have, and that is what two governments were tampering. You want tenure of office. That's
Yes,
what they wanted, and they had it,
yes,
but they
yes,
violated it. Many
yes.
things that were violated, we are taking it that is our constitution. It is not. The audit of the national accounts, that is there in the constitution. We don't do it. The tenure of office is there in the constitution. We didn't do it. The appointment of people supposed to be through the Public Service Commission. We didn't do it. We give open board contracts. The point I'm trying to make here, Mr. Morrison, the abundance of things that are going wrong is not the constitution, but it is lack of compliance with it. That's all I'm telling you. So when you try to tamper with the system, to try to make this as a percentage of that, that is not your problem, Mr. Morrison.
Let me ask you a question, Joe. Might you be unfairly harsh in your criticism of the governed as opposed to the governors, those who are governing, because you seem to put a lot of emphasis on what the people should be doing to make this work. But for the most part, most people elect their leaders and go about their business because the day-to-day living is not an easy thing. Now, can we not maybe just have some confidence in those we elect to do the right things and make the government work as opposed to enrich themselves every time?
I agree with you, Mr. Chairman, that the elected comes from among the electors. So do not pretend as if though that those two people who are elected are
Yeah,
really the.
but
So
yeah.
yeah. So the point I just want to come back to and make is that we elect them, but the people has an obligation to continue to participate in holding them accountable.
And
But that
in,
is
in,
where we
in
are
what
moving.
in what way do you think we should do that we're not doing? What would you be your recommendation of the start then, just a starting point? How do we begin to hold them accountable?
We hold them accountable when we take the laws that we have and we enforce them. Let me give you one example of recently what we were saying. A guy by the name of Jeremy Enriquez. He's a very good example. I think he's good. He is not the first. I know of others that did it before, but he had the courage to come forward, whether he wins or lose, to go out of what he thought was a violation of the laws. And he made successes. All I'm saying though, I have no of other cases where ministers were taken to court because they were violating the law, and the court dealt with them.
In what way? I don't remember any minister really being dealt with. Am I wrong?
I happen to be involved in one.
Which one?
We took a minister to court 2 times.
And one?
You lost both cases.
And what was the result? What
the
happened?
result, unfortunately, is that because he was the minister of government and he lost both cases, the penalty was imposed upon the public purse, not on him. The prime minister promised at the time that he will deal with it and that he will remove him, which he did afterwards. So maybe those are the areas we could try to look at changes to say, well, that when we take the minister to court, we then can find a way where the minister himself must be penalized,
yes,
rather than the public purse being penalized.
I agree. Let us look at this situation right now with this Minister Mira, who obviously has violated the trust to some degree, at least. But if he is found guilty, if he's found that he has done improper things there, should he not be the one then to reimburse this money as opposed to it coming from the public purse?
If he violated the Finance and Audit Reform Act, which is where the accusation is, there's a penalty in the law for that.
For him personally and not the public?
Yeah, the person who is found to have done it.
Right.
And I must give credit to the UDP government, because after we reformed the act in 2005, when they came in, they added the penalties directly to the act rather than outside.
So it's in there. It's just a matter of doing it.
Right. So you can be charged a small amount, 10,000 plus, or both 2 years in prison.
All right. Our guest left, but we're out of time. There was interesting discussion. It seems like you're right, 2 hours is not enough time to cover it. At the end of the day, it seems the consensus is that the Westminster system can work, but not the way we are implementing it. So I imagine now is what we need to do is try to figure a few ways how we can begin the process of making this work for the people, as opposed to just some of the people.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I would close my comments. My parting shot is that the Constitution of Belize, which is based on the Westminster model, did not fail. I will stand up to that, and I can defend that. It didn't fail. We failed to comply with it. That's the problem.
Wonderful. Jeremy?
Okay, my parting shot is I didn't realize this, and I apologize. Big shout out to Joe Cowie. I did not realize, I forgot, or I couldn't recall that he was part of the G7. I did not.
He was the leader of the G7.
Yeah, I did not realize that. Yes, so big respect to you, Joe. I'm sorry, and I apologize for not recalling that.
Let me tell you something, and I'm sorry to keep the chairman from ending. I read a book, Why Nations Fail. He said we fail when we fail to recognize those who stood up for us.
Gregory,
I do believe that we do need to keep moving and pushing forward to broaden and to create greater democracy. And like Mr. Lam was saying, we need to invigorate those other levels, and we need to make sure that we build strong institutions and independence to the extent that they can, so that we could get individuals that will look at things objectively and not just on a political line. And with that, I think we could make our democracy stronger for all of us.
Gentlemen, I say thank you. This weekend, we're having our back to school. Container will not get cleared, which might be given an issue, but we're going to take names and make sure that everybody who comes get their school bags. So if anybody in the area that lives in Belize and want to stop in and give any support, please do so. Guys, thank you very much. It's been enlightening. Let me say big up to our producer and the man who pushes the button over there, Clinton Young. Every year sending out the links and making sure everything runs well. Clinton, we're out of here.
All right. Good night, everybody.
We're done here. Thank you. I know the guys put up the football fun and games, so we jumped the gun this year. We went early. Yeah.
Regular routine. Everything to the supreme. Uno should have done what I mean. Anyway. Dedication. Every time me see the girl, me get shaky, shaky. Jah send her from heaven just to be with me, and I promise to love you endlessly. I will love you like a mother love a brand new baby. Ex a monk, I respect unto you daily. Treat you like a man is supposed to treat a lady. This is a fact, it is not a maybe. Annalie, 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 Annalie. I will keep you warm on the coolest nights. Keep you in my heart when you're out of my sight. We don't care if the King Kong we have to fight. Loving you is wrong, I don't wanna be right. Your mama and your daddy said it's a shame. It's a downright disgrace. Long as I've got you by my side, I don't care what nobody say. My friends tell me it's no future in loving a married woman. If I can't see you when I want, I'll have to see you when I can. Annalie, 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 Annalie.
Wolf Entertainment, we here. You know where you're from, Jamaica, Queens. This is how we rock. Yo, it's been a long time since I rocked the mic. Now I'm back making tracks like a ninja bite. I've been upstate, got big, so the girls call me a yes, being girls like an open book. Oh, King Rabbit, get out and push, you know. Getting whole sex, make my girl eat kush. Vinegar and water's my order, transporter, new world order, sons and daughters. I got a new rider, it's like a gold rush when the vibes bust. I got a new rider, it's like a gold rush when the vibes bust. I got a new rider, it's like a gold rush when the vibes bust. I got a new rider, it's like a gold rush when the vibes bust. The woman from Queens, you know what I mean. Kokomo Index, we know 119. Across the street is my man, Getaway Car G. He had a thing for Hot Wheels, hot brakes. But tonight I give you all everything. The biggest hit of the year, and millions is what it brings. Man, it's packing up the Texas to crib. Before they fired the red, my head and my done, I only have one life to live. My community me more lives and fears, helping me like Tyson does it. Rock, yeah, sons, where I'm from, Southside, I do or die. Only song survive the biggest crime is homicide.
We walk these streets every day. Somehow you try to make your life legendary, worthwhile, rememberable. But most of all, just want to be unforgettable. What I'ma tell you is something you should all know. How it's all unforgettable. How it's so unforgettable. I think you all should know. What I'ma tell you is something you should all know. How it's all unforgettable. How it's so unforgettable. I think you all should know. Time and time again, as I pick up that pen, as I hit these curves, all the grooves heads turn. Who's a conspiracy? How many going to burn? Pacifies like a Baptist, but the water burn. Trials, tribulation, turn a soft cheek, but I stand my position, watching them all freak. Outside when I be out on the beach in Miami-Dade County, when I roam on these New York streets. First take like Stephen A. Smith. Swag and perk, the podcast is on, I don't miss. Blunt in the air, cause you know it's all scheming out there when I put it in the air. Sketch, this is not grafted, it's not pornographic, it's transparent to what you're imagining. Side box the raw mode, children for Rizzle. Red dot, we came to bend the dial a little. So check your clock, non-stop, we drag racing, all the way to the finish, stop. Free me banging it, Empire came back, watch how we banging it. What I'ma tell you is something you should all know. How it's all unforgettable, how it's so unforgettable. I think you all should know. What I'ma tell you is something you should all know. How it's all unforgettable, how it's so unforgettable. I think you all should know. So many lame, who's to blame? But we all can't, cause I came back like I mail out a stamp, cotton to the mouth. We wear all dog bark, cause when I come out, it's more to